There is an invisible tension that grips you the moment you silence your alarm each morning. It's not just the physical reluctance to leave a warm bed. It is a primal, spiritual resistance. You stand on the precipice of another day dedicated to a structure, a system, or a goal that feels fundamentally foreign to your inner composition. You feel that persistent, low-grade ache in your spirit, a soul, weariness that no amount of rest seems to cure. It is the echo of a profound truth. You are not made for this cage. If you have ever stared out the window of an office building, wondering why the air feels thin and your purpose feels distant, this message is the answer your intuition has been desperately seeking. Chosen one, what you are experiencing is not a failure to adapt, but a powerful signal of misalignment. Your divine blueprint is rejecting the environment. Your soul carries a signature frequency, and when that frequency clashes violently with the place you spend most of your waking hours, the friction begins to burn away your peace and your unique light. Let us settle this truth deep within your consciousness before we proceed. There are occupations that facilitate your survival, and then there are assignments that catalyze your spirit. The majority of the world can navigate these mundane paths without a second thought. They are simply interchangeable parts in the larger machinery, but you are not built with such flexibility. You possess a unique depth, a profound sensitivity, and a spiritual discernment that elevates you above the ordinary crowd, placing you directly on your divine path. You carry an ancient and sacred heritage, a mission that predates your current life and a radar that detects the true atmosphere of a place, regardless of its polished facade. This is precisely why your internal alarm sounds when others are content. Certain corporate spaces may appear reputable, successful, and financially stable from the outside, yet they act as a spiritual vacuum. They systematically deplete your sacred energy, muffle your intuitive voice, and attempt to smother the very fire of destiny that was meant to illuminate your path. If the experience of showing up to work feels like a constant effort to contain a growing part of yourself, if your spirit seems to shrink under the weight of routine, or if you walk into a professional setting and feel your clarity instantly dissolve, understand this: it is not weakness. It is not an emotional overreaction, nor is it a lack of mental fortitude. This deep discomfort is the unwavering stance of your soul, which fundamentally refuses to settle in any environment that cannot sustain the life, giving breath of your divine purpose and true self. You are a chosen one, and your inner composition is structured for elevation, not submission. Your spirit has an inherent gravitational pull toward authenticity and meaning, and it actively resists any place designed to keep your greater potential subdued. Today, we will illuminate 7 types of professional environments that you must recognize and actively avoid. It is not because you are incapable of performing the duties, but because these structures are inherently toxic to the extraordinary spiritual assignment heaven has given you. Once you have identified these 7 destructive environments, a wave of understanding will wash over you. Every instance of profound dissatisfaction, every strange headache, every feeling of utter depletion you have experienced in certain roles will suddenly make perfect, crystal clear sense. You will realize that your soul was not suffering without reason, but was actively trying to pull you back into alignment with a higher calling that demands a different kind of working environment. Before we proceed into this powerful list, let us solidify our alignment. Take a moment to acknowledge this profound journey by liking this video, subscribing to this channel to stay on your awakened path, and typing 777 into the comments below. The number 777 signifies spiritual perfection and divine intervention, confirming that you are now entering a phase of radical clarity and imminent breakthrough that will finally liberate your career path. 1. The sterile, mechanical corporate labyrinth. The first type of environment you must instantly recognize and avoid is the cold, mechanically driven corporate labyrinth where the spiritual air is sterile and heartless. These are the spaces where the measure of a person has been reduced entirely to quantifiable analytics and quotas, utterly divorced from human quality or intrinsic worth. You will feel an instantaneous spiritual chill, a profound heaviness that weighs on your shoulders, whispering, "Your essence is unwelcome here." It is not a reflection of your work ethic. You possess extraordinary diligence. The problem lies in the design of the environment itself, which is often engineered to suppress the very gifts that define you as chosen. Your innate creativity begins to wither, curling inward to survive the unfeeling atmosphere. Your acute intuition, which is your most valuable asset, struggles to gain purchase, becoming faint as if the oppressive overhead lighting is intentionally draining its spiritual battery. Even your physical body will begin to broadcast distress signals your mind attempts to rationalize away. Persistent, unexplained fatigue that sleep cannot touch, sudden, recurring headaches, and a profound emotional numbness that settles over you the moment you sit at your desk. These are not just signs of burnout. They are undeniable soul alarms. They indicate that your inner truth is being relentlessly stifled in an environment that mistakes compassion for weakness and divine intuition for unprofessional over-sentimentality. You were given a unique spiritual compass, not to spend your life meticulously building another person's indifferent empire, while your own sacred mission is slowly suffocated in the sterile background. Your power is rooted in your presence, alignment, and inherent essence, not in external authority or relentless pressure. Any system that places profit above the integrity of the human spirit is an environment that cannot possibly contain or support the magnitude of your unique power. Every single day you choose to endure a role that demands you trade your inner peace for a monthly salary. A subtle, yet significant, dimming occurs in your divine light. Your calling is not meant to flourish in cages constructed of predictable routines and basic survival mechanisms. It requires expansive environments where your purpose is given permission to fully breathe, expand its influence, and elevate all those around you into a higher state of consciousness. The deeper mystery here is that the intensity of your discomfort is directly proportional to the degree of spiritual misalignment. This persistent, agonizing pressure is not intended to be a punishment. It is a divine preparation. It is the insistent force of your purpose pushing you to awaken and finally break free. The next revelation will expose a truth that makes your liberation an absolute non-negotiable step on your spiritual journey. 2. The role operating under spiritual shadows, the second environment, a chosen one, must vehemently reject, is any role that operates under profound spiritual shadows. These are places where the foundation of the business is inherently shaky, where integrity is a mere suggestion, where deception is a normalized currency, and where the air itself feels spiritually heavy, long before you can logically articulate why. These places are not merely bad jobs, they are spiritual sinkholes that collide violently with the purity of your assignment. While others walk into these spaces completely unaware, your spiritual radar immediately registers the shift. Your inner clarity becomes instantly blurred, a tightness settles in your chest, and a heavy protective fog of spiritual warning wraps around your being. Even if the surface appears profitable and promising, a powerful inner voice will whisper, "You must not make your dwelling here." This whisper is not insecurity, it is a profound manifestation of divine protection. Chosen ones possess an amplified spiritual detection system that flags danger long before it manifests physically. When you occupy a space where success is fueled by manipulation, or where exploitation is the silent, reigning rule, your inner light reacts with an immediate, overwhelming sense of being smothered. You may notice an inexplicable difficulty in maintaining mental clarity, a struggle to connect with prayer, and a mysterious draining of your energy that defies explanation. This extreme depletion is your spirit's active and powerful resistance to aligning itself with anything that compromises the pristine purity that was instilled in your soul. God did not send you to this world to coexist with environments that thrive on fragmentation, brokenness, or any form of spiritual compromise. The longer you attempt to adapt and assimilate, the more fiercely your spirit will rebel against the toxic atmosphere. These roles are often cleverly disguised with layers of glamour, significant financial reward, false influence, or the promise of rapid success. Yet, the underlying cost is infinitely greater than any salary. Every instance where you are coerced to ignore your conscience, twist a truth, or stay silent when justice demands you speak out, a spiritual fracture begins to form in the bedrock of your soul's authority. These fractures accumulate quickly. You won't notice them immediately, but you will acutely feel the erosion of your peace, the subtle weakening of your intuition, and a growing, unbridgeable distance between yourself and the divine guidance you once took for granted. Chosen ones cannot effectively carry their potent light, while simultaneously partnering with or working within an environment built on shadows. Your pure presence is a disruptor. The existing energy is a suffocator. Your sacred purpose is to be an exposer of darkness, not an accomplice. You are here to heal and elevate, not to exploit or manipulate for gain. The very moment your highest values are consciously compromised, your divine alignment begins a critical slip. Once that powerful connection is fragmented, everything else in your life will feel profoundly off balance, like a machine running on polluted fuel. The most unnerving reality is that the darkness often approaches disguised as a fantastic opportunity, wrapped in attractive, persuasive promises. But your all-seeing spirit understands the true cost. As we move toward the next critical revelation, you will understand that certain environments don't just attempt to dim your light. They are subtly but forcefully trying to redefine and completely re-engineer your spiritual identity. 3. The illusion. Selling industry, the third environment you must never engage with, chosen one, is any career that sustains itself by selling shallow illusions instead of authentic truth, that feeds meaningless distraction over profound depth, and that glorifies a false, unsustainable perfection while actively starving the human soul of real nourishment. These are roles built entirely on performance, hyper-curated image, and superficial hype, where the exterior shines brightly, but the interior is hollow and spiritually corrosive. This might manifest in industries obsessed with physical appearance, where people are continually filtered, edited, and staged until they bear little resemblance to authentic human beings. Or it could be platforms that lavish rewards on controversy and shock value, ignoring genuine sincerity and wisdom. On paper, these opportunities look thrilling and highly attractive, but spiritually, they represent a process of slow, internal erosion. For most individuals, engaging in this industry is simply playing the game. For you, it constitutes a serious, life-threatening spiritual emergency. The actual danger is not achieving visibility. God can certainly place you before millions if that serves your purpose. The true peril emerges when the platform begins to own you. This occurs when your intrinsic sense of worth becomes entirely dependent on external metrics, likes, followers, views, and an endless cycle of approval, seeking performance. At first, the external validation feels like an addictive thrill. You create, the world reacts, and the numbers tick up. However, a silent, corrosive transformation is taking place. You begin to monitor analytics more intently than you check in with the state of your own soul. Your authentic message starts bending to accommodate fleeting trends rather than immutable truth. The central question shifts from, "What is the heavenly message I must deliver?" to, "What will ensure they keep watching me?" This moment marks the precise point where your divine identity starts to slide out of your hands. Your powerful gift was never intended to simply entertain or propagate illusions. Your unique voice was not designed to merely echo the world's pervasive, distracting noise. Your light is here not to distract people from their pain, but to be the definitive guide that leads them courageously through it, toward true liberation and healing. Yet, in these illusion-based jobs, genuine authenticity is frequently penalized, and ego-driven performance is consistently rewarded. The more you acquiesce to playing the game, the more profoundly disconnected you feel from the original, unadulterated fire that once burned so fiercely within you. You feel the painful spiritual split. A part of you is externally shining for the world, while another, deeper part is quietly breaking beneath the weight of the pretense. The most bizarre element of this process is that the very attention you receive feels increasingly empty and unsatisfying. This is because temporary applause can never adequately substitute for spiritual alignment. Fleeting fame cannot replace the profound resonance of purpose. External exposure will always fall short of the deep intimacy you share with the divine. When your ultimate value is determined by an algorithm instead of your spiritual assignment, your soul begins to suffocate beneath an unbearable weight you were never meant to carry. In environments that thrive on selling illusions, truth itself becomes a mere negotiation point. You are constantly encouraged to exaggerate facts, dramatize events, hide your genuine struggles, maintain an appearance of unblemished perfection, and relentlessly strive for relevance. But your profound soul mission cannot survive a reality where truth is optional. You cannot effectively awaken others while actively pretending to be a version of yourself that is fundamentally untrue. Deep within you, the knowledge remains absolute. That profound, unshakable restlessness, the sharp, growing dissatisfaction that follows every public success, the silent ache that insists, there must be something more meaningful than this. This feeling is the sound of your divine heritage, powerfully refusing to dissolve beneath the mask and costume you wear for the world. The ultimate twist is that the job which appears to elevate you most in the eyes of the public is often the very one quietly erasing you in the sacred view of your own soul. 4. The role of emotional manipulation, the fifth type of role you must reject, is any position that fundamentally requires you to manipulate the genuine emotions of others, knowingly twist factual reality, or bend the truth for purely financial gain. These professional settings often begin with a seemingly innocuous proposition. It's just business. It's just about clever persuasion, or it's simply how you close the deal. But beneath this neutral language, they slowly and systematically train you to betray the very essence of your being, your spiritual integrity. While others might perceive manipulative tactics as advanced strategy or dismiss dishonesty as a necessary professional skill, your highly sensitive soul reacts with immediate alarm. You feel the internal fracture the instant your lips utter words that are not in precise alignment with the truth. You experience an instant heaviness in your chest, a visible dimming of your light, and a subtle yet palpable distance from your inner voice. It is as if the very heavens go quiet, recognizing that a sacred gift is being used for a purpose it was never designed to serve. Chosen ones are entrusted to carry truth in their voice. It's not common, everyday truth, but a potent spiritual resonance that awakens souls, shatters long-held illusions, and liberates minds from their constraints. When you speak from a place of authenticity, people naturally listen, not due to practice technique, but because your words possess spiritual weight. They are capable of stirring deep emotional responses, shifting the spiritual atmosphere, and fundamentally altering perception. That unparalleled power does not stem from specialized training. It emanates entirely from your divine alignment. But the precise moment you utilize that sacred influence to deceive a consumer, exaggerate a product's promise, or guide someone into a decision that benefits your quota, but actively harms their personal path, something essential within you is fractured. Every compromised word you speak aggressively tears a thin, vital layer from your spiritual authority. Every forced or manipulated transaction effectively tightens the painful distance between your intended calling and your sensitive conscience. Furthermore, every small lie, regardless of how harmless it appears, acts as a corrosive agent, eating away at the purity of the powerful gift that heaven purposefully entrusted to you. Your divine design was not based on persuasion through artificial pressure. It was meant for transformation through unadulterated authenticity. Your genuine success was intended to be a simple and natural byproduct of your alignment, never the result of calculated manipulation. When you speak your truth, your words generate impact effortlessly, not because you exert force, but because they inherently possess a potent divine resonance. In environments where your job function is contingent upon selling illusions, your powerful voice inadvertently becomes a weapon turned against your own internal peace. That persistent gnawing discomfort that surfaces after a highly profitable sale, the strange anxious knot that tightens after closing a major deal, or the moment you lie awake at night reviewing your own compromised words, these are not random feelings. They are unmistakable spiritual signals. Your soul is unequivocally proclaiming, this action is fundamentally misaligned with who you are. This is not the noble purpose your voice was designed to serve. Jobs rooted in emotional manipulation have a dangerous power to subtly and slowly reshape your fundamental identity. They systematically train you to prioritize fleeting profit over people, temporary numbers over eternal souls, and short-term results over long-term integrity. If you remain in such an environment for too long, you risk losing the ability to even recognize the sound of your own pure voice, the profound, powerful spiritual tone you once carried effortlessly. What begins as minor discomfort and cognitive dissonance will inevitably escalate into a state of profound spiritual suffocation. The worst tragedy is that the external world may profusely reward you for this internal sacrifice, granting you a greater income, public recognition, and social status. Yet internally, your invaluable peace will completely evaporate, your intuition will drastically weaken, and your connection to the divine will become tragically faint, as if you are trying to communicate through a thick, impenetrable wall. Here lies the deep, inescapable truth. Every single time you choose to bend the truth in exchange for money, a part of your essential divine identity bends right along with it. If you bend far enough, the ultimate risk is that you will spiritually break. But the next type of environment will reveal an even more unsettling truth. Some jobs don't just subtly tempt you to manipulate others. They begin a slow, careful process of manipulating you, reshaping your spirit until the person staring back in the mirror is unrecognizable. 5. The suffocator of imagination, the sixth type of job you must immediately identify and reject, chosen one, is any role that actively suffocates your powerful imagination, aggressively confines your natural, born mind, and demands the complete silence of the divine spark that God specifically placed within your soul. You are an innately gifted innovator, not due to extensive training or academic study, but because your soul arrived with an internal blueprint that perceives boundless possibilities where the average person sees only limitations. You are the carrier of profound ideas that strike with the speed of revelation, insights that feel directly downloaded from a higher source rather than logically learned, and bold visions that stretch far beyond the rigid boundaries of ordinary, conventional thinking. However, there are numerous workplaces meticulously designed to extinguish precisely this kind of powerful spiritual fire. These are environments where extreme conformity is erroneously celebrated as discipline, where authentic originality is quickly treated as insubordination or rebellion, and where the simple act of asking deeper, meaningful questions is immediately perceived as an existential threat to the status quo, rather than an invaluable gift. In environments governed by such rigid principles, your inner brilliance does not simply vanish. It strategically retreats into silence. Your powerful, transformative ideas begin to accumulate dust on the mental shelves of your mind, patiently waiting for a moment of expression that tragically never arrives. Your spiritual fire collapses tragically inward, slowly transforming into a deep, pervasive ache that you struggle to define. This ache may feel deceptively like frustration, intense burnout, or even a sense of professional failure, but it is, in reality, something much more serious: divine suffocation. These types of roles are masters at subtly training you to spiritually shrink. They methodically condition you to perpetually hold back your unique voice, intentionally temper the raw power of your creativity, and drastically dim your intuitive light, all so that you can force yourself to conform and fit neatly into the predefined limitations of the system. But you were never created with the spiritual mandate to fit into existing systems. You were strategically sent here to fundamentally redesign and elevate them. Your creativity is not merely a hobby you engage in. It is a profound and powerful spiritual instrument. When you deeply imagine, the heavens are speaking through you. When you passionately create, the divine manifests through your action. When you fearlessly innovate, the pure power of heaven moves powerfully through you. But in jobs that demand mind-numbing repetition over life-changing revelation, your magnificent gifts are mistakenly treated as mere inconveniences rather than essential catalysts for profound change. You will inevitably begin to intensely question yourself, second-guess your strongest instincts, and nervously doubt the validity of your grandest visions. You might even tragically begin to believe that your ideas are simply too much, too big, or fundamentally too unrealistic. The core truth is that they are simply too divinely potent for environments that lack the spiritual capacity and visionary scope to fully contain them. You were not born to spend your life decorating the limitations of cages. You were spiritually destined to build brand new worlds of possibility. This is precisely why any kind of stagnant or creatively restrictive role feels like a psychological and spiritual prison to your soul. This feeling is not due to a lack of discipline, but because your spirit is actively choking on the massive, unrealized potential it desperately needs to express. Your spirit requires vast space for creation, for open-ended exploration, for disruptive innovation, and for meaningful transformation. You require environments where your grand vision is treated as essential fuel for growth, not an inconvenient burden for the management. Every single moment you remain in a job that rejects the life force of your creativity, you risk tragically losing the foundational language of your own soul. You risk the profound tragedy of waking up one morning and realizing that the extraordinary fire you once carried so fiercely has cooled into something tragically faint, something quiet and unassuming, something utterly unrecognizable from the spiritual force it once was. Here lies the urgent, hidden message. Creativity is one of the main channels through which the divine communicates directly with its chosen ones. When that critical creative flow is stifled, you don't just lose the ability to innovate. You lose your core direction, your vital connection, and the spiritual signals that were designed to guide you toward your highest purpose. If you persist in environments that actively punish originality and profound imagination, your destiny cannot flourish, because the soil of that environment is actively poisoned against the creation of anything genuinely new or divinely inspired. Yet beneath that surface despair, there is always something deeper stirring, something powerfully rising. A subtle, insistent pressure that confirms your ideas were never, ever meant to stay trapped. As we transition to the final revelation, you will understand why the environments that actively kill creativity are often the same ones that secretly and profoundly fear the magnitude of the magnificent thing you were sent here to build. 6. The temple of materialism, the seventh and final environment a chosen one must never accept, is any space where the concept of money is not viewed as a useful tool, but is aggressively and openly worshipped as a god. This involves workplaces where the relentless pursuit of overwhelming wealth has completely and tragically replaced the profound pursuit of meaning, and where all ethical and moral lines have blurred until they effectively cease to exist. These are environments where unbridled greed is cleverly disguised as acceptable ambition. In these materialistic temples, manipulation is frequently celebrated as clever strategy. And those rare individuals who dare to question the reigning morality are immediately labeled as hopelessly naive. The louder your conscience attempts to speak out, the more profoundly out of place and isolated you will feel within that culture. In spaces governed by such profound materialism, your sensitive spirit is under a relentless, constant attack, not through obvious darkness, but through the insidious process of subtle distortion. A powerful and natural part of you is driven to provide for yourself and others, to be responsible, and to build genuine stability. Yet a deeper, far wiser, and intrinsically divine part of you feels a sharp, acute sting every single time you are implicitly asked to prioritize purely financial gain over intrinsic goodness, overwhelming profit over people, and external success over the health of your own soul. This intense internal tug-of-war is not a spiritual failure. It is powerful evidence of your true identity. Chosen ones are spiritually incapable of truly thriving in any environment where everything that is considered sacred and spiritually meaningful becomes completely secondary to financial metrics. You will feel the resulting spiritual war inside you with a much greater intensity than others. One voice will whisper the tempting compromise, just perform exactly as everyone else does, while another, much quieter but utterly unshakable voice will firmly command, this is absolutely not who you are meant to be. The moment the pursuit of money surpasses the pursuit of meaning, your divine heritage begins a swift and silent collapse. This is not because money itself is inherently evil, but because the act of relentlessly chasing it without the guidance of a higher purpose will relentlessly empty you from the inside out. What the material world enthusiastically labels as success will feel to your spirit like a desperate, inescapable spiritual suffocation. God specifically designed your being to handle great abundance, but an abundance that is inextricably aligned with unwavering integrity, profound humility, genuine compassion, and active responsibility. Every single dollar you earn is spiritually meant to flow through hands that are absolutely clean of compromise, never through a soul weakened by distorted values. You are never intended to sacrifice your core truth for a simple paycheck or silence the powerful voice of your spirit simply to conform to systems that ultimately reward unbridled, toxic greed. Yet, these environments possess a subtle, powerful ability to push you exactly toward these compromises, little by little, inch by inch, until you wake up one morning with a shocking realization. You have drifted dangerously far from the person you once consciously chose to be. In these highly materialistic roles, you will notice a disturbing trend. Your intuition becomes tragically quieter, your inner peace grows significantly thinner, and your genuine joy feels conditional and fleeting. The more you appear to succeed externally, the more painfully empty you will feel internally. This is the spiritual law of unintended consequences. When material wealth tragically replaces divine purpose, the soul inevitably begins to starve. This hunger is often completely missed by most people, but you feel it intensely because you were created for an entirely different kind of prosperity, a prosperity that never costs you your conscience. This true prosperity expands your spirit instead of aggressively shrinking it. It is a form of abundance that actively invites God into the transaction instead of decisively pushing him out. Roles that worship wealth will always attempt to reshape your personality into someone more detached, more aggressive, more self-serving, and ultimately, more hardened in their perspective. They will tempt you to utterly disconnect from your empathy, normalize blatant manipulation, and treat people as mere opportunities rather than sacred souls. You cannot walk this compromised path without simultaneously losing access to the purity, the vital clarity, and the formidable spiritual authority that actively makes you the chosen one you are. And here lies the final, most hidden truth. The more intensely a job demands that you sacrifice your core values, the more violently and powerfully your spirit will resist, because heaven profoundly understands the true, eternal cost of that particular sacrifice. 7. The final revelation of alignment, chosen one. Listen with the deepest part of your spirit, for everything you have processed through this message was a deliberate act of preparing your spirit for this ultimate, liberating revelation. If your professional life relentlessly drains your peace, actively blocks your unique creativity, forcefully silences your intuition, or dangerously disconnects you from your spiritual source, then you must grasp this profound and powerful truth. That is not a job, it is a chain. It is a silent, skillfully crafted chain designed with the specific purpose of keeping you small, easily predictable, effectively contained, and tragically far from the sheer magnitude of the destiny that has been meticulously written over your life. You are not spiritually sent into this world simply to survive numbing routines, to mechanically obey outdated systems that relentlessly shrink your brilliance, or to spend your precious existence solely fueling the purposes and visions of others that have nothing whatsoever to do with your own magnificent assignment. No. Your divine mandate is to profoundly shift entire atmospheres simply through the power of your presence, to instantly awaken deeply sleeping souls with your insight, to powerfully elevate environments just by existing in perfect alignment with your highest calling, and to strategically build only what a chosen one is truly capable of building. The world does not require just another worker drone. The world is desperately in need of your light, your unique vision, your authentic voice, and your powerful divine frequency. Therefore, hear this profound message with the full spiritual weight it absolutely deserves. If certain doors were aggressively closed in your face, they did not close because you were unworthy of the opportunity. They closed because heaven actively refused to allow you to walk into a place that was spiritually guaranteed to suffocate you. If certain jobs rejected your application, it was not a rejection of you. It was a clear declaration that your powerful spirit simply did not belong there. You are not being punished, you are being redirected. You are not being diminished, you are being protected. You are not being denied a chance, you are being prepared for the correct one. Every uncomfortable experience you endured, every disappointment you felt, every instance of misalignment you suffered, each was a sacred, holy whisper, powerfully guiding you back to the single, magnificent path that was always meant for you and your spiritual elevation. Your divine heritage is calling out with absolute certainty now, forcefully pulling you toward work that is fully aligned with truth, profound purpose, innate compassion, boundless creativity, and continuous spiritual evolution. It is a work that fundamentally ignites your soul. It is a work that endlessly expands your perspective. It is a work that naturally restores your energy. It is the work that finally activates the dormant fire you have been carrying for years, without knowing exactly where to place its immense power. The very moment you step with conviction into this profound alignment, every aspect of your existence will begin a supernatural shift. Your vital energy will instantly rise, your inner clarity will return with sharp focus, your intuition will sharpen to an acute level, and your life will start to unfold with a grace that feels nothing short of miraculous, because it is genuinely supernatural. So, I command you now, stand up from where you are, step decisively out of that limiting structure, and shatter the illusion that you are somehow obligated to settle for anything less than the magnificent purpose your soul was specifically crafted to fulfill. Powerfully walk away from every single thing that serves only to dim your powerful light. Run with fierce intention toward every opportunity that promises to awaken the greater you. And above all, place your absolute, unwavering trust in this unshakable, prophetic truth. Where your soul can truly breathe, your destiny will finally rise. Where your long, lost peace is definitively restored, your immense power will rush back in. Where your divine purpose is given the space to grow, the heavens will powerfully move on your behalf. And where you resolutely choose this alignment, miracles will follow you without effort. If this life changing message has resonated in the deepest, most authentic part of your spirit and has given you the courage to choose the new way, then comment below right now, "I choose my divine path." The very instant you declare that truth, the sacred, right path will begin to open itself clearly beneath your feet.